Hello everyone, this is Amanda McGuire and this is my week 5 discussion board for MPA 580. As a new employee of Inland Regional Center, you're going to be going through a ethics training today. Before we get into the regular video, this is going to be a little bit of how and why ethics is important for working for an organization such as Inland Regional Center. So to start off, it's important to know that as a public organization that is funded by the state and serves the people, there is a responsibility to be transparent. And in order to be transparent, there needs to be an ethical culture within the regional center. Within that, there's an importance for honesty, integrity, and fairness as some of the core ethical values that we uphold. Honesty in the way we communicate with one another, as well as integrity in the services we provide, and fairness across the board, whether that's between coworkers or in our interactions with the public and those that we serve. The other thing to keep in mind with why ethics is important is it builds a trust, not only a trust in those that we serve and their faith in receiving services that they need, but also a trust in your relationship with your coworkers as well as your supervisor. And the more trust they have in you, the more they're going to be likely to give you that independence and knowing that you can get your job done because you're doing so with an ethical core. So to give a little background on the value of ethics, we look at a ethical theory base for this. So to understand the point of ethics, we can look at Aristotle's virtue theory, which is the idea of character-based ethics, that the type of person you are is based on your own personal code of conduct with ethics. So your character is shown through being fair, through working towards being honest, to always finding that middle ground between being too generous or being very selfish. There is that golden mean, and I like to use Aristotle's character-based ethics for a base for our code of ethics because it's what drives us as public servants. We're in this service to work for others, to serve those that have a need. And in order to do so, it takes a certain compassion and it takes a certain character to be able to do so. There's also the idea of justice as fairness with Rawls, who believed that we should correct inequalities and level the playing field for those that are the least well off, which is the whole basis of what we do at Inland Regional Center. There are those that need these services because they are not capable of doing some things for themselves. And there's the whole idea of leveling the playing field for those with developmental disabilities and giving them opportunities they would not otherwise have without assistance. So the reason why we are doing a training on ethics and why a code of ethics is important for Inland Regional Center itself is, I kind of touched on this a little, but it creates a culture of ethics where everyone in the organization is held to a certain standard. And sometimes what happens, and this is unfortunate, is that the mission of the organization, which for us is the service of individuals with disabilities, gets lost in the weeds. And what I mean by that is the day-to-day grind of your job can wear you down, and it gets you to the point where you lose your drive and your passion that you walked in the door with to help others because you're bogged down by stress and there's so many things happening at once. You may have a caseload of a lot of individuals that are just too many to handle at that one time. So it's important to remember to take a step back and to remember why we are doing this, what our purpose is. There's also the the entirety of the code of ethics and how it impacts the organization itself. An organization that is held to ethical standards, that shows ethical practices through transparency, through excellent service, and anytime we're audited, it's going to impact our budget. It's going to impact our reputation with the state. Are we an organization that is fair, that provides services to those in need, regardless of their situation, as long as they fit the criteria that we have to uphold within our regulations? Are we fair? Do we communicate well? Are we honest in providing the services needed? Are we honest in what the needs are of the individual and try to help them at the best we can, right in that middle golden mean? And then finally, to give you a scenario to how ethics plays a part in your day-to-day job, let's say you have a cousin who is developmentally disabled and lives in IRC's catchment area, and your aunt comes to you and tells you, I don't care what you have to do, I want them to have the best possible care, I want them to go to the best program, live in the best home, and have all of the services, and get them in front of anybody that's in a waiting list for anything. It's your job as their cousin to give them their best needs. So take a step back there, get all of the facts. Why is it that they need to be given more than somebody else? What are their services needed that are different than the next person? And why is it okay for you to break your code of ethics to give special treatment to somebody just because they're a family member? Determine what your role is, analyze the situation. What does the code of ethics say? So some solutions here: you could risk the conflict of interest and provide special treatment and keep your family happy. You might lose your job. Or you can uphold the code of conduct and provide information to your aunt, contacts for who they can talk to try to provide the best services without doing any extra effort or going above and beyond your job, showing any special treatment. And that's all for today. Thank you very much.